What's going on, guys? Today I'm going to be talking about my most anticipated films of 2025. With 2024 behind us, I know it's 2 or 3 weeks into the new year. This is a video I've been thinking about doing for a while. And again, I know I'm late. Apologies. These are not going to be in any particular order. It's not going to be ranked. It's not going to be ranked from most anticipated to least anticipated. And there might be some that's already out at the time of this recording or by the time I get done editing and posting this. And there may be some that I've skipped over for various reasons. Mostly because this list is the ones that I'm mainly focused on, but I will get to those others that I have not mentioned later on. It's just not on my number one priority, but it's definitely on my list to see. We will start off with my top 10 most anticipated films of 2025, leading on up to some honorable mentions, which there's some in that list as well. You know, films that I don't really necessarily feel the need to go out and see immediately, excluding one, which I will explain that later. I had to flip a coin. They're just not on the top of my list. And one that I'm uncertain that if it'll happen at all at this point, but very much hoping it will. So without further ado, let's get into this. Starting off at number 1 will be Captain America: Brave New World. Now, I get that Marvel has been in somewhat of a slump, but last year's Deadpool and Wolverine really should have proven by now that they're able to dig themselves out of a giant hole, which, again, I understand that's what they've been in. It's just this giant slump. And I admit, Marvel still has a ways to go. They still have a way to go, just a little bit further to go before they start getting up on top, before they start getting back into that in-game era. But hopefully with Brave New World, it will be at least one more step to actually get to that point. But Captain America: Brave New World looks really interesting. It looks action-packed. It looks about the same as what Captain America: Winter Soldier brought. Plus, I'm really interested to see a Harrison Ford-driven Red Hulk. I'm really very interested to see what that would bring. I think that would be interesting to see. So that's why Captain America: Brave New World is definitely on this list. Moving on to number 2, we have Thunderbolts, another Marvel film that I'm pretty interested in. Like when Guardians of the Galaxy came out years and years ago, which was also another batch of Marvel characters I've never heard of at that time, and look how that turned out. Thunderbolts is something I've never heard of. Of course, I never read any comic books. I'm not a comic book reader, so of course I wouldn't know about most of these characters. Like, I think they're considered like side characters or something like that, but I've never heard of the Thunderbolts. But looking at the trailer, I can definitely see how they're related, how they've tied in with the MCU of what's came out so far. But like with Captain America: Brave New World, I'm really hoping to see this one really help the MCU. I'm really hoping to see this giving it that boost that it needs. It looks pretty cool. It's got an ensemble cast, and like I said with Brave New World, the action looks great, but we'll just see how Marvel fares with it. We'll just see how good it strives, and let's just hope that it blows up somewhat. Now on to number 3, we have Superman, the newest from director James Gunn, a filmmaker I highly respect. He's done wonders with the Guardians of the Galaxy films and his version of the Suicide Squad for the now debunked DCEU. But this Superman film is the start of a brand new era. From James Gunn and Peter Safran, who's basically restarting and revamping the whole entire DC verse, which is now called the DCU, without the E, which pretty much makes this one the most important film of the year. It's gotta be good. It's gotta be one of those that really entices people to get interested in these characters, in this character again. And judging by the trailers, I have faith. With the brand new start of this DCU, I'm hoping that this will open up a whole new can of wonders for this universe, for this newer universe. We have yet to get the second trailer, but what I've seen so far, I'm sold. And I'll definitely be there opening night or opening weekend. Now that we have all the superhero ones out of the way, coming in at number 4, we have Wolfman, which is a film that is playing currently. I just haven't really been able to get around to seeing it yet. This one is directed by Lee Whannell, Another filmmaker I highly respect. He's the guy that gave us Invisible Man, Upgrade, and Insidious Chapter 3, and has pretty much wrote and produced several of the Saw films. But Wolfman seems like to be the perfect film for me. I like those creature features. I like a good creature feature every now and then. Yeah, I'm not big on them like others are, but I enjoy a good one every now and then, especially a good body horror film, which is what I'm hearing this one is. Unfortunately, I'm already hearing mixed to negative reviews, but a lot of people are still liking it, so that's a plus. But I'm really looking forward to the Wolfman, and I hope it doesn't disappoint. Number 5 is going to be Heart Eyes. Now, if I was ranking these from my least to most anticipated films of this year, this would probably be at the top of the list. Mostly because I'm a slasher fan. Yes, I know that might sound biased, but I don't care. This one just screamed my name from the top of Mount Everest. This seems like it's just something right up my alley, and from what I could tell, I think this is going to be one of those whodunit films, whodunit slashers like Scream, which is a definite plus for me. It seems like it's got all the thrills, chills, and kills. And from what I saw from the trailers, bloody and gory as hell. Because all I ever see is the Red Band trailer. Every time I went to the theater to go see a movie, the Red Band trailer would always be the one that's playing. That would always be the choice for whoever actually puts these trailers together. And because they just want you to know how bloody and how gory this movie is going to be. And that just made it all more exciting for me. And who knows, I'm also going to consider the fact that it may suck. It may be cheesy and predictable as hell. But I'm looking forward to it. I'm excited about it. I'm still keeping hope alive. Bring on the carnage. So for these next few, I will be explaining a little bit of the plot points. Number 6 is going to be Love Hurts, a new film starring Kiwi Kwan, who is the short round sidekick for Indiana Jones in Temple of Doom. He plays this realtor, this normal guy who's trying to live a normal life, whose past comes back to haunt him. And this is definitely something that's been on my radar for a while. It's definitely something that looks like it could be right up my alley. I'm glad Kwan is getting back into more stuff. After all these years being absent before he was in Everything Everywhere All at Once a few years back, the only other things I've ever seen him in before that film was Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom, and I know he was in Goonies. But Temple of Doom is what I know this guy now, from the most. This thing shows plenty of fight scenes, balls of the wall action, and plenty revved up tension. That it definitely, of course it was going to catch my eye. Of course it was going to catch these eyes. The only thing that kind of worries me about this, the only thing that kind of puts up a red flag on this, is the film's length. For a film of this caliber, for an action film no less, of this caliber, it is way too short. From what I'm hearing, from what I've read, it clocks in at about an hour and 23 minutes to an hour and 30 minutes. That kind of gets me worried. One part of my brain thinks that I hope that they don't overstuff it, that I hope that they have enough time to breathe, and the other side of my brain is thinking, I hope that they don't rush things. I hope that it's not too rushed to where it feels like it's just over like that, and I didn't really get to enjoy much of it because it was so short-lived. I just hope I don't feel like that while I'm watching it because of its length. But we'll see. Hopefully it'll still deliver. I'm still very stoked about this, and I will definitely be there without a doubt. Number 7 is going to be The Amateur. It's this cool little action flick about a CIA agent whose wife is killed by these assailants, and he goes after them. I love me a good revenge story. I like Rami Malek. I hope I'm pronouncing that name right. Who's basically the star of this film. It's very reminiscent of Punisher and Kill Bill. It seems like it's got a very emotional and very high drive about it. Now, I'm very curious to see what this film delivers, and I'm very curious to see how it turns out. Almost at the end, coming in at number 8, will be Novocaine. This one looks like it would be one of those stupid as hell, but in a very crazy, let loose and turn your brain off sort of way. Guy's girl gets kidnapped, so he goes after the assailants, But he's got this condition to where he don't feel pain, so it just turns balls of the wall crazy. And just the story itself, you watch the trailer, just the story itself, therein lies the goofiness of it all and what this might bring. But I've always been one of the weird ones that's always enjoyed stuff like that. And I know this will be exactly that. And you know what I say? Bring it. Alright folks, we got two more. Coming in at number 9 is Mission Impossible: The Final Reckoning. Now, I'm not sure if this is actually going to be the final one of the series or the final one for Tom Cruise. But either way, I love this series. I've been there from the get-go. I think Tom Cruise is amazing. This is about the only spy action thriller other than the Kingsman films that I actually like, that I really grown to love. I like what director Christopher McQuarrie has brought ever since he took over directing duties when Rogue Nation had come out. I like what him and his team, and I like just the dynamic between Tom Cruise and him has brought to this franchise. When Mission Impossible: Dead Reckoning came out a couple years ago, then at the time it was part 1 before they decided to make this whole entire switch with the title. I was super stoked. And I knew it was going to be a 2-parter, even if they didn't put the part 1 title in it. I knew it was going to be like a continuation. Because I loved what they did with that, especially with the direction that they went, I was really looking forward to the next one. Now, again, I'm not sure if this is actually going to be the final one of the series or for Tom Cruise. Judging by the trailer, it looks like it's going to be the final one, but I've heard statements from Cruise himself and the director saying that if this makes enough, then they wouldn't mind coming back. You know, literally, Tom Cruise has said that he still wouldn't mind coming back. Just depends on that dough. Whether or not this is the final one, the actual final one of this series, as long as they treat it respectfully and with a sense of ease, I'm good. Point being, I'm looking forward to it, and just, like I said with so many others on this list, bring it on. Last but not least, number 10 is going to be Ballerina from the World of John Wick. The spin-off of course, the John Wick films. Now, going back to what I said about if I was ranking these from my least to most anticipated, Heart Eyes and Ballerina would go neck and neck. It'd be a little bit of a tie. The John Wick franchise pretty much redefined the action genre back in 2014 with the first film. Much like how The Matrix did for the genre in the late 90s to early 2000s, which Keanu Reeves was also a part of. That man should get a standing ovation, a Golden Globe, or something for redefining the action genre twice. John Wick, with its stylish action scenes and use of gun fu, really turned heads and raised a lot of eyebrows. So it's perfectly natural that a spin-off was in the works, and I'm totally ignoring the TV show on Peacock, The Continental, which I've never seen and don't really have the desire to see. Ballerina seems like it would have the perfect blend of style of both that intertwine with each other so well, and plus the fact that Keanu Reeves actually does show up. People are like, it's John Wick 2.0 or something like that. And with Ana de Armas's talent and charm, I'm pretty sure this movie will kick ass and hopefully will blow up all sorts of ways at the box office. But we'll see. We don't have until June, or I should just say dead of summer, until that happens. But I'm sure it will be a sweet and nice surprise that will turn just as many heads and raise as many eyebrows that John Wick did. Now, on to my honorable mentions, which is slightly below my top 10. Some might change. There is one that I fit in this list that I had to flip a coin for, but I'm still very much excited about. But this list is just not movies that I'm particularly in a rush to see, but is still interested in seeing. Alright, starting off with number 1, we've got Avatar: Fire and Ash, which makes the third in this Avatar series. And it took me a while to warm up to that 2009 film. In preparation of The Way of Water, a friend of mine let me borrow his copy of that first film on Blu-ray, and in preparation for the sequel, I popped that first one in, and I gotta say, where the hell was my head at before then? Because I remember a time where I couldn't stand it. And to this day, I kick myself for that. Now, I love it. I really do love this franchise, or impending franchise. So the trailer hasn't dropped for this new film yet. I assume that it probably won't drop until the dead of summer. But by the title, Fire and Ash, that really excites me. It makes me wonder what else and what lore that they'll dive into, especially involving that. And it really does excite me. There's been a lot of talks to where James Cameron is going to go up to either 4 or 5 or maybe 6 films before he retires from filmmaking completely. Don't quote me on that. But I'm still looking forward to this third entry, and I think it will be a blast. Number 2 is a little weird-ass movie called The Monkey, which is basically based off of a Stephen King short and looks even weirder than Companion. You got this strange little mechanical monkey to where every time he looks at somebody, they die. And yes, obviously, I can tell it's got a little bit of a supernatural edge. And like with Companion, I had no idea what this was trying to say, especially when the first trailer came out. I had no idea what the story was about or what it was trying to imply. But by the time the second trailer came out, I was like, okay, a little bit more weirder than Companion, even with the second trailer standards. But we'll see how it turns out. Bottom line, I warmed up to it just like I did with Companion, and here's hoping. Number 3 is Final Destination's Bloodlines, the 6th in the Final Destination series, and this is the one where I had to flip a coin with. This would have easily been on my top 10, but it has been over a decade since the last one came out, and that made pretty good money. As far as I could remember, it was a critical and commercial success. Why it took them so long to finally move on with the 6th one, I'll never know. One side is saying that it's a reboot, another side is saying that it's a sequel, an actual sixth film, which I hope that is the case with the latter. But I'm very excited about this. The Final Destination franchise is something I grew up with. I got into it as soon as the second film had come out, which is basically my favorite one out of those original 5. It's basically about someone who has a premonition and that saves a bunch of people from this disaster at the beginning of each film. And each film had its different themes. And then later on, death comes back for him in gruesome ways. Who doesn't love that, especially if you're a horror gore hound? Great concept. Tony Todd was awesome in those first 2 films and the 5th one. May he rest in peace. But like I said, the last one came out in 2011, and it took him this long to make another one. Maybe that's why subconsciously I put this in my honorable mentions, but that doesn't make it any less of me wanting to see it more, because I'm definitely going to be there, probably opening night. It's high time that we get another one, and bottom line, I'm psyched. Number 4 of these honorable mentions, we got Nobody 2. I really did like the first one with Bob Odenkirk, especially with Christopher Lloyd. This is something that has been discussed for not quite too long, probably shortly after the first film had come out a few years back. But I'm really looking forward to this one. Like I said, I liked Bob Odenkirk. The first film kind of played like an old man John Wick. That's how everybody kind of describing it. I saw it as half and half, not quite to that extent, but I could definitely see this being like John Wick's father or something like that. But I'm looking forward to seeing what this sequel has in store for us. Especially knowing that Christopher Lloyd is coming back, because he was one of the best parts of that first film. So, Universal, bring us more Lloyd. Number 5, we've got a little horror film called Sinners, directed by Ryan Coogler, the guy that gave us the Black Panther movies and Creed. It looks pretty riveting. Now, rumors are speculating that it's going to be a vampire movie, and other rumors are speculating that it's going to be something else. Me personally, I hope it's a vampire movie, but anything that this movie shows, I'll be okay with. The trailers weren't all that clear, but again, whenever this movie does come out, I'm pretty sure I'll enjoy it to some extent, but I don't want to say that with 100%. Whatever the case may be, I'm looking forward to this one. I do like Michael B. Jordan, who's the star of this film, and what he brings to his talent. But bottom line, I have no doubt that this will be somewhat of a crowd pleaser. Now, coming in at number 6 is a little weird one called Companion. This one seems like one of those really weird, off-the-wall type of films. The first trailer that came out, I just really didn't know what to think about it. I really didn't know how to interpret it. But when the second trailer got released, I was more open. I sort of kind of got the idea of where things was going, but until I see the film, I can't really speak that much on it. But it really does look good. I'm usually pretty good at pinpointing on where things is going to go, especially in that first trailer. But with this one, and even with its second trailer, I'm like, yeah, let me watch the film first. But it does look interesting. It does look like it's something that's right up my alley. It's a horror film, of course. The first trailer kind of throws you off a little bit, but then it does that weird turn about it. So it looks pretty interesting. Again, I love me some horror. Jack Quaid, who's also the star in Novocaine, stars in this. Seems like he's popping up a lot here lately. No complaints here. I'm very excited about this one. And now as we get to the last one on this list, and this one's going to be a little bit rough, a little bit of a tough one. And I have no idea if this one's even going to be happening at this point, which is so freaking sad. Saw 11. This was supposed to come out last year, October of 2024, or September of 2024, somewhere around there. But Lionsgate decided to make room for Never Let Go instead around that time, and then push this one to this year, supposedly. So if you know me at all, I am a definite hardcore Saw fan. Ever since that first film had come out back in 2004, I've been hooked. Now, I do admit that there has been some weak installments, especially in those original 7, and it does get a little bit convoluted, but I adore these movies. I adore these films. I love Jigsaw and what he does and everything he stands for. Now, again, I know not everybody's quite on par of how he handles things and who he captures. I get it, but I adore what this guy had brung. So yeah, this is a franchise that's never really been critics' best friends. But then came Saw X. And let me tell you, that's the first film in this series that got a major, true, honest to God, good rating from critics and audiences alike, which says a lot. And with good reason, too. But unfortunately, because it was such a huge success, I don't think nobody saw that coming. Now, this is just a rumor or speculation, but my guess is, and apparently everybody else's guesses too, and I kind of agree with them, is that because Saw X was such a success, they didn't quite think that far ahead. They didn't really think that they were going to succeed as much as they did critically and financially. They thought that they were at a dead end. They thought that their Saw trap was up and that they were going to just die instantly. And because it was such a massive, gigantic success, they just hit a slump. And I don't know how true this is, but here lately, I've been seeing a lot of posts to where Twisted Pictures are looking to sell the rights to A24 and or Blumhouse, which I think is stupid. It's reckless. And me personally, again, I don't know if this rumor is correct. I don't know if any of this stuff is happening. But me personally, I think Twisted Pictures should keep the rights, get their heads on straight, talk to each other, and give us a proper sequel to Saw X. They need to just work their shit out and give us a proper sequel to Saw X. That's what we need, and I'm pretty sure that's what a lot of us want if you look at the critical score and how much it made, because that never happens. And they just need to get over the fact that, hey, y'all were successful. Be grateful and start talking to each other about how to continue. That's just my thought. But we'll see what happens. I personally think Twisted Pictures should just keep the rights, but again, they did what they want, and we'll just see what happens. I just hope it's that. Well, that's it for this one, guys. Hope you enjoyed this video. What are your most anticipated films of this year? Do you have any? Are you excited about any of the ones that I listed off? What is your list? Give me your comment down below and give me your thoughts. Thank you so much, guys, for watching this. I really do appreciate it. Like, subscribe, comment, and share. Make sure to click that bell icon so you don't miss a thing, and I will see you on the next one. Peace.